I'm so happy I'm here with Deanna. So Mo here for the love of yoga and for the love of inspiration. I wanted to share with all of you um, my yoga teacher and mentor. Her name is Deanna. And Deanna, thank you for being here with us today. She is a teacher, uh, yoga facilitator, meditation facilitator, and all around amazing person who taught me how to be a yoga teacher over at Dhyana Yoga Arts. So welcome, Dee.
Thank you so much. It's such a joy to be here with you, Melissa. I love, love, love getting to connect with you. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. And it's very important, the connection in yoga, because you're connecting all of the sutras and you're connecting all of the limbs of yoga, and I feel that you do it so beautifully. And I wondered, what was your first inspiration, or what is it that you love about yoga?
That's such a good question. And um, I, when I was sitting with this idea, um, because yoga is different things to different people, I think it's important to assess what it is that you think of as yoga. So, like, let's say, like in our world, in this culture, we tend to think of yoga as poses. So there's many things that I love about poses, but when I think about what true yoga is, it's related to abiding in your true nature. And we've gone over this in the teacher trainings before. You can call that whatever you like. Sometimes I'll call that abiding in unconditional love or connecting to your true self. So for me, one of the things that I love about yoga is that the practices of yoga, let's say the asanas, the poses, the pranayama, the breathing practices, the moral ethical codes, and especially for me, meditation helps me to clear away the what yoga calls the avidya, the veil that keeps you from seeing your true self. Or sometimes I think of that like when you get stuck in identifying with all the small self things or all the whirlings of the mind that go with just being human. So for me, one of the things that I love about yoga is that it helps me to be more of my true self and connect with unconditional love and act from that in my daily life.
I love it, and I can see it in your teaching, and I can see it in the way that you express yourself. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your journey into yoga?
I would love to. Um, so, way back in the day, a long time ago, I was in my early 20s and I had back and sciatic pain. And a friend of mine invited me to a yoga class in New York City. And it was a place that was really full of rebel yogis and joyful, creative practice. And I feel really blessed that these teachers also brought in mantras and chanting and the philosophy. So it wasn't just all about poses. It was really about the whole vast world of yoga they tried to bring into the yoga classes. And then I dug in more deeply and eventually got into meditation, and that's how it started.
I think that that's wonderful, and I can see how you actually paid that forward to the rest of us. So whether you are learning how to be a teacher or even just taking some of your classes, I'm always introduced to another aspect of yoga. It's so vast, but you have a great way of bringing it into little bits that I can process and continue to build upon, like these wonderful building blocks.
I love that you say that too, because it really is. I think that bringing process oriented practice into yoga is so important. It really helps people to be with their own journey and to not think it's supposed to look like someone else or something else. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's a really comfortable feeling, and it's a great setting, and why I wanted to be able to talk to you about it, just because it's one of the things that attracted me to yoga, that encompassing feeling that sometimes I can't even explain. It's just wonderful.
mm, It's so true. It's beyond words, right? It's we try to put things into a box and put it into words, which is just something that has to be
Yeah.
experienced because there's no way to really and truly express it.
Yes. And it is very karmic because all the goodness that you take in, you really want to give out. Like I really want to give this out to people, and I want people to see, just experience a little bit of love. And which is why I'm grateful that you were saying that I'm grateful that you said yes, that you would talk with me about this. Um, but in our, press for time, would you mind teaching me, an aspect of yoga today?
Absolutely. Yeah, you had requested a yoga pose, right? So why don't we do, I really love, so I teach this in a lot of classes, but in yoga for scoliosis and back hair classes, which I specialize in, as you know,
Mhm.
I really love this one pose, L pose.
Okay.
And I'll show you that one. Or actually, since you've done it before, I might be able to just talk you through it. So come to the wall and face the wall and take your hands a little bit higher than your hips. And from there, just find your mountain pose. So keeping the hands on the wall, imagine connecting your legs to your hip sockets like plug in and outlet. Let the heart lift, let all sides of the rib cage lift. So you're getting a lot of space in your lower back. And then you can even imagine the back of the neck and the ears getting long so that the neck gets long. You can even bring your chin down a little bit. And see if you can keep all that length in your spine as you soften your knees and walk back to an L shape, moving your sit bones away from your hands until you find your sit bones over your heels. Yeah, and since you've done this before, you're coming into finding a neutral spine really beautifully. So you can imagine now finding a little helium balloon under each armpit and a little helium balloon under the sternum or the breastbone. And this is a little bit more subtle, but from the sides of your rib cage, reach your hands forward. This is a really good one to lengthen the spine and also to learn how to explore neutral spine. And for a lot of my students, it's really easy to sink into the joints. You're doing a really fabulous job of not sinking. So you're not locking your knees, you're not sinking in the shoulders, but there's this spaciousness under the arms and the chest. And we'll just let you stay here for another 5 breaths or so. Imagine connecting your limbs to your spine so you can just get a little more space, almost like you're making a space between two vertebrae or two vertebrae in your lumbar. Ears are a little higher than the arms. And you can stay there as long as you like. When you feel ready, go ahead and walk towards the wall and make your way out.
That was lovely.
It looked fabulous. You look like you were getting so much length. That was awesome.
Thank you. That was wonderful. And I know that this aspect was a pose, but I felt meditative within the pose. And I, was very aware of my pranayama, my breathing.
Mhm.
So, even just one pose can have different aspects in it, which is wonderful. Again, without
Yeah.
words.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a moving meditation or another way of building consciousness. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about yoga is that it builds consciousness, right? And not all on the physical level, not all other physical activities necessarily do that. And without consciousness, you really can't create change. So yoga helps us to create change because it helps us to build consciousness.
It does. And it was really lovely. I was conscious of my body, and I will be full disclosure. You're my teacher, so I was really trying to do my best and not sink into my poses because it's so nice to sink into a yummy pose.
Right.
But I was very aware of that. And so everybody that's watching understands that it's okay. You can still unsync out of a pose. And but I was very conscious, and as you talked about my sides of my ribs, I can feel them elongating and I can feel my spine. And so it was fantastic. Um,
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Thanks. And I just wanted to plug Dhyana Yoga Arts, which is actually located in Chester, New Jersey. However, they offer a wide range of workshops, classes, and I don't know if you're still doing teacher trainings online. I know you started for COVID, which was very helpful. And it's going to be at DhyanaYogaArts.com, which I will type into the notes later, so that way you can easily click on it and take a look at all of the wonderful things that they offer.
Oh, thank you so much, Melissa. I appreciate that. It's
Thank
been
you.
such a joy to have you here.
I really appreciate your time, and just know that everything inside of me honors everything inside of you. So thank you, Dee.
You're welcome. Such a joy to connect with you, Melissa.